Ever wondered what makes a roller coaster so exhilarating or terrifying? From the climb to the drop, the loops to the twist, there's a whole lot going on. If you've ever felt a little lost when it comes to these scream machines, you're in the right place. Today, we're breaking down roller coasters step by step. Don't worry if you've never braved a big coaster before, if you just want to understand what all this screaming is about. We're going to cover the basics, so you can go from coaster curious to coaster conquering in no time. Before we continue into the world of roller coasters, please do me a favor by clicking on that like button. Newcomers to my channel that love everything roller coasters or theme parks, be sure to follow. So, what exactly is a roller coaster? At its core, a roller coaster is an amusement ride that uses gravity and momentum to propel a train of cars along a winding track with varying heights and speeds. In some ways, think of it like a super fun controlled fall with some twists and turns thrown in. Now that we got the very basic out of the way, there's still a lot that goes into making a roller coaster. First, like what materials it's constructed out of. At its core, roller coasters are built from two types of materials, wood and steel. Sure, there are the quote-unquote hybrid roller coasters, but we'll talk about that later. Wooden roller coasters, for the most part, the entire structure is built from lumber. The track, though, is the most defining part that separates a wooden coaster from a steel coaster. There are some wooden roller coasters that utilize steel supports, but as long as the track is wood, we would consider it to be a wooden roller coaster. The track itself is made up of multiple layers of wood, mostly laminated wood, with one small strip of steel on the top for the wheels to ride along. A wooden roller coaster will usually provide a more bumpier ride experience compared to a steel coaster, but with the advances of technology of the past couple decades, even a wooden coaster can be butter smooth like Mystic Timbers at Kings Island. These types of roller coasters focus on airtime, snappy turns, and no inversions. There are the extremely rare exceptions that include an inversion, but usually the track style and support will transition to steel to make these elements happen. A steel coaster is where the entire ride structure is made of steel. Now, this is also where the hybrid roller coasters come into play. They are still technically a steel coaster because the track is made entirely of steel, but the hybrid roller coaster will comprise of steel track and wooden supports. The term hybrid roller coaster was coined by ride manufacturer Rocky Mountain Construction, who had their big break from taking dilapidated wooden coasters, ripping up the track, and replacing it with steel, turning it into a crazy out-of-control thrill machine. Steel roller coasters primarily focus on inversions where the roller coaster can go upside down. Well, they used to at least. Now, steel coasters make up the overwhelming majority of coasters and range from your basic family coaster to the tallest, fastest, and longest on the planet. Using steel, the potential is near limitless, allowing manufacturers to create elements that would be impossible with wood. Now that we know what types of materials make up a roller coaster, let's discuss the types of elements that make a roller coaster truly what it is. The station. Every roller coaster needs a station. This is where the train is able to be loaded and unloaded with new passengers. Some roller coaster stations are for loading only or unloading only. There are also dual loading stations that utilize a switch track. There are various types, but all serve the same purpose. Lift or launch. You can't start a ride without providing some sort of energy to get things moving. A roller coaster must have a lift or launch to make a complete cycle. There are some roller coasters that start off with a giant drop out of the station like Thunderbolt at Kennywood or Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City, but these coasters will never return to the station unless a lift or launch is utilized at some point of the ride. A lift utilizes either a chain, cable, or drive tires to push the train to the highest point of the ride. Once the train reaches the top, the energy provided will be enough to propel the coaster all the way through the entire layout. The most popular lift would be the chain lift. The biggest giveaway is the click-clacking sound you hear as the train is pulled up the hill. This sound isn't actually from the chain, but instead the anti-rollback device that prevents the train from rolling back down the hill in the event of power failure or the chain breaking. Even coasters without a chain lift will utilize an anti-rollback device of some sort, but the most popular version is found here on your traditional chain lift. A drive tire lift is not as common and mostly found on smaller roller coasters. Sometimes these drive tires double as a launch as well. Now, the cable lift is the fastest way to pull a train to the top of the first hill. They are fast and quiet, usually found on larger roller coasters that reach over 200 feet. Instead of slowly being pulled to the top of the first hill, a launch allows the coaster to be propelled to its max speed in a matter of seconds. Most roller coasters will utilize a magnetic launch, which is either LIM or LSM. LIM is linear induction motors will continually push the train down the launch to its max speed. LSM, linear synchronous motors, in a nutshell, will push and pull the train down the launch. The motors, as the name says, are synced to where the one LSM block is pushing the train while the next is pulling you forward. This is the most common form of launch and is considered to be the most reliable. There are also a couple of forms of launches like hydraulic or pneumatic. Both are very similar using a cable and flywheel. Either the hydraulic or pneumatic motor will release a ton of energy at once, pulling the train down the launch at extreme speeds. These types of launches are the most intense and can reach their top speed faster than your current magnetic launch. Once you get past that initial burst of energy, the ride is capable of performing basically whatever the manufacturer can dream of. The meat of the roller coaster, as it were, will usually comprise of hills, turns, inversions, or various combinations of those same elements. As technology improves, so do the layouts of a roller coaster. There are new elements introduced within the past 10 years that we wouldn't have dreamed of 20 years ago. Coasters can now do crazy outer bank turns, flip you upside down in never before seen maneuvers. The options are limitless. Without going into too much detail, here is a list of elements you could find on a roller coaster. First drop, airtime hill, bunny hill, vertical loop, corkscrew, cobra roll, barrel roll, zero-G roll, dive loop, Immelman, banked turn. Again, there are so many other types of elements, but those are just the basics. Now that we know what a roller coaster is composed of, what about the different styles? Beyond the basic classification of being wood or steel, there are still different styles of roller coasters that utilize different types of trains or focus on various elements throughout the ride. To name a few, traditional sit-down, basically the most common of roller coasters. Riders sit inside a train where the track is beneath you. These roller coasters are the most diverse, with the widest range of possibilities for its layout. Inverted roller coaster. This is where the train hangs below the track. Riders sit in a fully open seat, allowing their feet to dangle. These types of roller coasters are intense, focusing on inversions. There are also some family-friendly models, but even so, still more intense than your average family coaster. Stand-up roller coaster, kind of a dying breed, but revived with the surf coaster found at SeaWorld Orlando. These roller coasters allow riders to stay in an upright position and usually feature a bicycle seat to straddle on. These roller coasters, similar to the inverted roller coaster, focus on intense layouts and inversions. However, the newer surf coaster model is now focusing on airtime and banked turns. Floorless coaster. More of a gimmick, the floor on the train is completely removed, exposing you to the track below. Riders sit high enough so they would never touch the track below, but creates an unsettling feeling in some. Wing coaster. It's like the combination of a floorless roller coaster and inverted coaster. Riders now sit in fully exposed seats to the side of the track with nothing below or above the rider. There are still plenty more types of roller coasters, but I think we hit the basics. Next, what about the forces on the ride? When riding a roller coaster, your body will experience strong gravitational forces that come in various forms. We call this a G-force. It is a measure of acceleration experienced relative to free fall expressed in units of standard gravity. Essentially, it tells you how many times the force of gravity you're experiencing at that moment. To think of it this way, 1G, this is what you would normally feel standing on Earth. It's the acceleration due to gravity. More than 1G, you feel heavier than usual as if a greater force is pushing you down. This happens when you accelerate upwards or at the bottom of a dip on a roller coaster. Roller coasters can range anywhere from 1 to 6 Gs at its strongest, but most roller coasters usually never deliver stronger forces than 4 or 5. Less than 1G, at 0 Gs, you feel weightless. Like in space, on a roller coaster, this can happen at the top of a hill. Negative G force, this is when the acceleration is in the opposite direction to gravity. It can make you feel like you're being lifted out of your seat. Airtime is the most common term used to describe this sensation, and we kind of break it down a little more. Floater airtime is where you feel weightless, just floating in your seat during those giant airtime hills. Ejector airtime is the extreme negative Gs. The train feels like it's trying to pull you out of your seat. So, where should you ride and why? For the most part, you will want to find yourself near the front or the back of the train. Sitting up front will provide you with the best uninhibited view. The forces are also stronger in the front compared to the middle of the train. You will feel that push when entering another element on the ride. Also, with that uninhibited view, you will feel the wind crashing against yourself, something that you will not experience the farther you sit in the train. The back row is also another great place to ride, and many roller coaster enthusiasts will find themselves waiting for the back row. On a roller coaster that focuses on airtime, usually the back row has the best airtime. Riders will get that whip or pole being yanked down a large drop. For beginners that are a little nervous about riding, head for the middle of the train. The forces will be slightly subdued without that additional pull or push sensation that you would get at the front or the back of the train. Alright, before I wrap this video up, I think we discussed the basics of what a roller coaster is. The next thing is overcoming your fear, so stay tuned as I'll be talking about that topic soon. Until next time, this is Extreme Thrills.